Welcome to Beyond the Transformation podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Kelly from Professional Organizers, Minnesota. Kelly, would you just introduce yourself and go into a little bit about how you got into this business?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jake. I started this business early last year, so I'm still new to it, but I've been loving it. I do home organizing and decluttering with my clients, which can range from a lot of different things, from really upping the aesthetics of a home to really just diving in on a big pile that is preventing a client from utilizing their dining room or their pantry. So it can look like a lot of different things, which is super fun. And I really got into this via a job search, really. I spent a lot of time searching for something that was going to be a good fit for who I believe God made me to be and really
Hmm.
fit the natural skills and passions I had. And that was a lot more difficult than I expected it to be. And I never expected my job search to lead to starting a business. But that's exactly where I found myself. And I'm so thankful I did because it has been such a great fit for my personality and for what I love to do. And not just because I'm an organizing person, but that, of course, is one aspect of the match.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's how I feel like so many business owner stories are. They end up kind of stumbling into it. Some people lifelong, but it's just usually an opportunity presents itself. Like you said, you felt God was calling you to it too, which is a huge thing. You know, I know in professional organizing, so my wife loves everything organizing. So I've seen a lot of this world, but I know it can really vary in what services people offer or who they want to work with. So, I mean, when you go into like your dream projects or your favorite clients, like what does that look like? We'll talk about that first, and then maybe we'll talk about your process a little bit later.
Sure. Yeah. So with any client, I do a consultation on site with them just because I like to really see their space and get to know them and their goals. And like you said, it can really vary so much. And so getting in there and getting to see them and get a feel for what they want is really important to me. My main goal is really creating freedom for them. So I know people have a lot of different ideas about the industry, and one of them is that it's more of a luxury service for focusing on making your home look perfect. And that's just not really the case with so many of my clients. And I love that because I love to see that really meaningful transformation in their spaces, that they go from being stressed and overwhelmed to really being able to utilize their space and feel at home. And so getting to that place looks a lot of different ways, but I love when I get to see the transformation in any space.
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly like satisfying work to see the before and after. And I was able to go and look at some of the projects we've done, and so that's cool. So you focus a lot more on the functionality. Of course, it ends up looking good, but I have seen some organizing businesses where it's like everything is maybe taken out of its original packaging and it's put in a new glass container and it's in the exact spots on the shelf with all the labels, and that to me seems like that would be far more on the luxury end. So is that further from what you do, or do you focus on, I mean, I'm sure there's obviously the aesthetic component of it, but is it more functionality with your clients?
Yeah, I like to look at functionality first with my clients for sure. And if they're really interested in that higher end look, we can do that. But I mean, the saying goes like form follows function, and I truly believe that when you clean up a space and you declutter it and get
Hmm.
organized, it just naturally is going to look so much
Yeah,
better. So focusing on that is much more a priority to me in my business because I know it will have lasting effects for the client. I don't want to create more barriers to them if taking everything out of their packaging is just gonna I don't know, overwhelm them in a different way, right? So I do like to focus on function.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's also the thing with is sustainability to keep the, you could get discouraged if you can't keep it to the way it was when the professional came in and did it. Um, Now I'm always curious because there was a lot of things, a laundry list of things that when I got into business. So I ran a window cleaning business for 4 years before I did this, and I was very naive to everything that comes with running a business. So jumping into running it on your own. Now I know you said you love the work. What have been some of your biggest challenges or maybe learning experiences in actually running the business side of things, for your organizing business?
Yeah, definitely. I think there are so many aspects, right, of running a business, as you know.
Hmm.
So each week I feel like I'm kind of tackling a new challenge, whether that's taxes or I came from more of an office job that I'd never had to network in. So I've grown a lot in all those little things. I think one of my biggest challenges was honestly just knowing when to take the leap with my business, because you can work on things on the side for so long, but knowing when you're ready, and not second guessing yourself, especially when you're new to business. Like, am I ready for this? Do I have what it takes to leave what I am doing and move into what's next? That was one of my biggest challenges this year. But I think in doing that, I've really been challenged a lot, but therefore grown a lot, which has been a blessing. I think I've really learned so much more and am truly kind of a different person now than I was before, and that's really fulfilling.
Yeah. What do you think it was like the final point in that job search that made you make the leap to running it on your own versus, trying to find an organizing company to go work for?
Yeah, so I started started up my business kind of on the side and never actually looked at joining another organizing company just because I felt like that wouldn't be a long term career, probably. So I started out the gate, planning to start my own business, but really doing that on the side. And then I fully thought that I could go part time at my current job and do both at the same time, and that opportunity just didn't end up presenting itself like I thought it would. And so then I was like, I either have to do this or decide that I'm not going to do it. And that I had to face that decision. And I felt a lot of peace that I was moving in the right direction. You know, you kind of get those little confirmations here and there when something goes well or something you didn't expect kind of falls into your lap. And I had plenty of those leading up to that decision. So I think that really helped me feel a lot of peace in stepping into doing it full time.
Yeah, no, that's good. I when I think of running a business, I think sort of an illusion that I always believed before starting my first business was these people they're fully confident or have it all figured out before they do it. But just hearing the story from more and more business owners, it's like, oh, we none of us had any confidence in it at the very beginning. It really is that leap of faith to just go for it. Maybe you were able to see some success before, but it is that, reward that comes from just taking the risk. I mean, I've heard so many people who are trying to run a business and keep a full-time job, and that's hard. And from your story, it sounds like when you went fully all in, I guess when you went all in on it, what was different? Like, did it start to change pretty quickly, or did it take a while to pick up and get some clients?
It actually changed faster than I expected it. It certainly wasn't like, oh, overnight I'm doing all this business and I can't even handle it all. But I think being available, I could say yes to just so many more opportunities versus having to be picky with my time. And one thing just leads to another. So when you have so much more time to devote to your business, you kind of get going, I would say, snowballing down the hill a little bit faster. Is what I found anyway.
Hmm. No, for sure. Yeah. And do you feel like where do you receive most of your business from? Are people finding you online, or is it from clients that you've worked for who have a friend or someone's parent or, something like that?
I'm finding a lot more people are finding me online. I think just um, professional organizing is not something you hire out quite as often as maybe other services. So people, when they're looking for it, do tend to find me online.
Got it. Got it. And I'm probably going to ask questions in the similar realm, but like what is your most common client? I know you said you work in with all different types of clients and different projects, but is there a project that's most reoccurring, like kitchens or like a certain space or a certain client or walk of life that you see a lot?
Yeah, I'm finding that I have a lot of empty nesters or senior clients, and that's just because they have lived in their homes for decades and they have a lot of possessions that they've kind of accumulated and need to deal with, but then also they're transitioning into a new season, whether that be their kids leaving home or them kind of looking ahead towards downsizing and they realize they need help. It's kind of overwhelming, especially in your own space with your own stuff, to see the forest through the trees and really see what a good next step is. So I am finding um, older adults or empty nesters utilizing my services more than others.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. It was very similar with when we were doing the window cleaning work. We definitely had a lot of senior clients and a lot of busy professionals, I guess I would say, who are just like, maybe they have young kids or have a family, and they're like, there is no world where we're getting this done on our own. Um, I know you hit on it briefly when we first started talking about like why you started your business, but I guess I kind of want to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit more about like your business, what makes you guys different and what your mission is for this, because it sounds like you really have a passion for this and to really help people with their space. But maybe if you could just hit a little bit more on, why you do this, why you do the work that you do.
Yeah, definitely. I really like to talk about my mission because I think I mentioned just professional organizing can be seen as such a luxury service, and I've definitely had people tell me that. But I really see it as so freeing for my clients. So my mission really is freedom. We are all, or most of us, are so blessed with so much, but that can quickly turn into a burden. And I hate seeing that because our homes should really be a place of rest and retreat from the rest of the world. But so many people walk into their homes and they are overcome with stress just by looking at certain areas, or they feel shame for those areas, or just completely overwhelmed and they don't know how to tackle it or make it more functional for them. And so I like to come alongside those people and help them live in freedom, not only from like the tangible stuff, but then the emotional and mental weight of it all too. And that's really, really important to me and so much bigger than, making a home look perfect. Um, and that can also come along with joining people in their journeys through big life transitions. That's often another area of clientele I have, whether it's downsizing or moving, or just transitioning your home to welcome a new family member or transition into a new season. some people need a little bit of help in navigating all of that. So I like to join them in that journey as well.
Yeah, that's super cool. That's really cool. I mean, when you're on projects, I would imagine some of this takes a long time. Like, are you ever doing like a full? I know that there was another organizing company that I had connected with in the past, and a lot of the work that they did would be someone who's doing a full move, and then they're working with them for multiple days in a row. Are your projects, I know they probably change in duration, but are there some projects that you're on for extended periods of time? And if so, could you maybe talk about one of those projects that you've done?
Sure, yeah. Definitely varies quite a bit, like anything. But one client I had this fall, she wanted help cleaning out her garage, which they couldn't even park their car in it. So you can imagine it's a lot to go through. And we also, she had a pile of things next to her driveway too from her attic. So it was a full garage and more. And so I was there with her multiple days, getting her started to move towards getting a lot of that stuff out of there, working towards actually hosting a garage sale. And so those projects are fun just to connect with the client on a little bit deeper basis and get to know them. I mean, you always get to know people as you're working one on one and seeing kind of their stuff. There's always stories behind it, but this was a longer term project. So I really got to know her and open boxes she hadn't opened for probably 30 years and hear about all the stuff. So that was that was fun, and I am so task oriented. I love to see all the progress we make each day, little by little, tackling a big project.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, I don't know about you, but one of my favorite things with the window cleaning when we did that is just being able to be invited into somebody's home is always, that was something that I always led with is like it is a privilege to be invited into people's homes. Like that is their space. And for a lot of people it's pretty intimidating. Like you said, they might be embarrassed. It feels cluttered, it feels dirty. I know we always said we only see the windows, like if there was a mess, we're like, we're only looking at the windows. But just being able to see how different people live so differently. But like you said, everything has a story, and being able to ask about items in their home and them being able to talk about things they've never been asked about. I've really enjoyed that. Is that something that you enjoy about the work as well?
Yeah, I think you do see like a common humanity through it all. I've been nervous to work with certain clients, just because there's spaces I'm not as familiar entering into, and I was reminded by someone in my own life, like, hey, they all have the same challenges that everyone else does, and I have found that certainly to be the case, and it's fun to learn more about anyone when you ask them about their lives. Everyone has interesting stories, so that's a fun aspect of the job.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Do you have a favorite project? Like if you think back on a project, if you're like, if I could do 100 more of these, like this is the project I would love to do.
Sure, yeah, I love pantry organization, and I love it for a few reasons. Mainly boiling down because to just the high ROI it has for my clients, because it's a space you're typically not super and like attached to your food generally, so it can be a quicker process to go through a pantry, but then it is such a frequently used space that like the reward is really high because you're in there all the time, and I can also tackle those spaces on my own, so my clients don't necessarily have to be there, so they get to kind of have that moment of like a reveal where they get to
Mm.
walk in for the first time, which is super fun. So those are probably my favorite. Yeah, I love the before and after, and I love that it's such a high value space for my clients while also being a pretty manageable one to tackle, both on my own and just in the time sense as well.
Very cool. Yeah, like I said, my wife and my mom, they're in the organizing world, and I feel like I'm learning new organizing systems every other month. Um, just trying to follow it the best I can to where things have been put, but it does really help, and it does yeah, it helps the everyday function I more than I thought it would. For me, and you might cringe at this, it was always find a drawer. This is a lot of things became multi-purpose drawers, and trying to find what is where, and I don't know. I don't know. There's not really a point there, but but it's very functional. It's very functional. I can see the value in it, and I can see the value in the work. But I guess when it comes to people working with you, could you maybe like just break it down as simple as possible? Like, what's the best way for somebody to reach out to you to get you out there, and then maybe just a little refresher about that process. If you were gonna have someone who wanted their pantry organized, what do they do?
Sure. Yeah, you can find me on professionalorganizermn.com, and there you can reach out to me in a few different ways. But I always start my clients out with a free on site consultation. So I actually have a link to my booking page for that, so you don't even have to call or email me. You can just book it right away. And so that's what I would recommend. But if you have questions, you can certainly reach out via phone or email or my contact form on my website, and I'd be happy to answer those before we get to a consultation. But the reason we start with the consultation is, again, just so that I can see your space in person and get to know you a little bit more in person. I love to answer your questions, but also seeing your space allows me to take measurements. It allows me to kind of get my head wrapped around how we're going to tackle the space, and what a good first step is. So we always start with that, and then we'll schedule our first session or maybe a few sessions depending on the length of the project, and we'll get right into tackling it. Usually we start with decluttering. That's always a good first step, just because we don't want to organize things that you don't want or and you don't use. So we get those things out of there. I actually haul away any like donation items that you want, just to get it out of your hair, so you don't have one more to-do list item. And then from there we can categorize and contain your items, and then rehome them in a space that works for you. And then that's where you get to see the transformation at the end.
Amazing. Well, Kelly, I appreciate your time. Thank you. Thank you for coming on and chatting a bit. And I will link your website below this, and just wish you and your business the best in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jake. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, thanks.